A ghost looks a king dead in the eyes and tells him the exact day he is going to die. He is right. The king is Saul, the first king Israel ever had. What drives him to a house he once made illegal to even enter, and what happens inside it, is one of the strangest nights in the entire Old Testament. Why would a king this powerful become this desperate? Who does he actually go looking for in the dark? And why does the scene end with him being fed dinner by the last person he should trust? Stay to the end, because what happens in this one night decides who really becomes the next king of Israel. Saul was Israel's very first king, chosen and anointed by the prophet Samuel himself. For years, Samuel had been the one steady voice guiding Saul through decisions no king had faced before. By this point in the story, Samuel has already died of old age, mourned by the entire nation. Not long after, the Philistine army gathers for what will be one of the largest battles of Saul's reign. Saul is terrified. He tries everything a king of Israel was supposed to be able to rely on. He prays. He asks through dreams. He asks through the priests using a sacred object called the Urim. One by one, every channel goes silent. No answer at all from any of them. For a king who built his entire identity on being chosen by God, that silence is its own kind of terror, and it leaves him with only one option left, the one he himself had made illegal. So Saul turns to it anyway, the one option he himself had made illegal. Years earlier, King Saul had banned mediums and necromancers from Israel entirely, on penalty of death. Now, with no answer coming from God through any normal channel, he orders his own men to find him exactly the kind of person his own law would execute. They find one living in a town called Endor. That night, Saul disguises himself so no one will recognize the king, sneaks past his own soldiers, and travels with two of his men to find her. The woman is suspicious the moment they arrive. She tells the stranger at her door that King Saul has banned exactly this kind of practice on penalty of death, and asks if he is trying to get her killed. Saul swears an oath that no harm will come to her. Only then does she agree to help. Samuel reminds him of something Saul has been trying to forget. Years earlier, God had commanded Saul to completely destroy an enemy nation called the Amalekites, sparing nothing. Saul disobeyed, keeping their king alive and the best of the plunder for himself. It cost him everything, and he has spent years since trying to outrun it. She asks who he wants her to summon. Saul does not hesitate. "Bring up Samuel," he says. What happens next catches even the medium off guard. The text says she sees something and she screams. She suddenly realizes who the disguised stranger really is. "You are Saul," she says. Whatever she expected from her craft, this was not it. A figure rises. The text calls it an old man wrapped in a robe, and Saul immediately understands it is Samuel. He bows to the ground. Samuel's voice is not comforting. "Why have you disturbed me?" he asks, "bringing me up like this?" Saul explains his desperation, the silence from God, the army closing in. Samuel does not soften the answer. "Because of what you did to the Amalekites," he says, "God has torn the kingdom out of your hands and given it to your rival." And then the final line, "Tomorrow you and your sons will be with me." In other words, tomorrow Saul dies. Saul collapses to the ground, drained of strength, terrified, having eaten nothing all day. And here is where the chapter takes its strangest turn. The same woman who summoned a ghost for the king now becomes his caretaker. She insists he eat something before facing what comes next. She kills a calf, bakes bread, and personally serves the king of Israel a final meal hours before his death. A woman Saul's own law would have executed is the last person to show him any real kindness. The very next chapter, Saul's prophecy comes true exactly as spoken. The battle at Mount Gilboa goes badly for Israel. Saul's sons are killed in the fighting. Saul himself, badly wounded, ends his own life rather than be captured. The first king of Israel dies exactly the way a disguised trip to a band medium warned him he would. So why does this strange, unsettling scene exist in the Bible at all? Scholars still argue over what exactly happened at Endor, whether it was truly Samuel's spirit permitted by God for one final warning, or a deception mimicking his voice, since scripture elsewhere treats necromancy as spiritually dangerous for precisely this reason. The text itself never settles the debate. What it does settle is Saul, a king who built his entire identity on being chosen by God, ends his story disguised in his own kingdom, breaking his own law in the dark, just to hear one more word from heaven. The last thing Samuel ever said to him was simply confirming what Saul's own choices had already decided long before he ever knocked on that door.